And we have the
So next time we can talk about the Sokoto Caliphate. That's the
We can do it now.
I've got to
We
go.
can do it
Tell me
now.
about-
My left
tell me-
Santi's over, you know, so I've got to go.
You're going.
Yeah,
There's
soon,
a big
soon.
function up in
25 minutes. I've
up
got to
in
run.
Tottenham.
When?
Molefi Asante's here.
That's what I'm saying. I'm going there now.
You're
I'm
gonna
filming
go up there now?
Yeah.
You filming?
Yeah, I'm filming it.
Yes,
Don't buy,
it started already.
Don't buy them boys.
It started already.
No, it's at
Mart
7
Centre.
o'clock. It's at 7 o'clock. That's what I'm saying.
I thought they said earlier, like 1 o'clock till late.
No, it's
It's
at
more
7.
than one speaker, you know. It's our sister as well. Get the name.
Yeah, but man, but Emma.
Not
It's
Pat
at 7
Yeah.
o'clock.
Huh? Mart
They have
Centre Tottenham.
Pat Rodney. Next Sunday they have something. Dr. Walter Rodney's wife also speaking
Okay.
at the place in Tootenbed.
Anyway, yeah, I'm glad it's 25 minutes.
You're going to tell us about the peaceful reign of Dan Fodio.
Dan Fodio.
Oh,
Uncle, I think you're wrong with that, you know.
Golden age.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Of the Sokoto model.
No,
What about
Uncle.
Mansa Musa and them, man?
Yeah, different thing.
I want to know about what you did to my people.
Yeah.
Your
This
people.
Yoruba man,
The Mali
this
people say that.
Yoruba man is trying
Today.
to present
was
a
a traitor.
case as if the Yoruba are the
Gave all the
most
wealth
No,
and
no, no, I
peaceful.
never said that.
No.
I never said
But
that.
that's a different argument, though.
That's-
That's a different
You
argument.
are
Do you
trying
not?
to
Uncle,
spin
Uncle,
a narrative.
Uncle, with
When
Oya and the
he
homie.
mentioned-
With Oya and the homie, yeah?
The guess on clearly.
Yeah,
When they were fighting with King
Yeah,
Guess
hold on.
Of the homie.
But with
Who were big slave traders as a matter of
but
fact.
with Oya and the
And
homie.
all your
There
people
was
were
no-
slave.
Uncle.
All of them were slave traders.
Uncle.
All of them were slave traders.
One second, Uncle.
Cut that foolishness
Uncle,
out.
with Oya and the
I don't
homie.
like when people like that.
No,
You
it's
giving
not
us
Uncle.
the
It's
truth,
not that. It's
even
not
if
that.
against
But
ourselves.
Uncle, with all due respect, I think the equivalency
The
doesn't
slave
make sense.
trader was the
Put
British.
on Dan Fodio.
Yeah, no, hold on a second.
Dan Fodio peacefully preached, and El Nafati was persecuting him.
I think-
No.
I
If
think
you
my main thing
shall
here
we
is
go
the
to the
core
beginning?
teaching of the Abrahamic
Yeah, one
faith.
second.
Is anybody here cognizant
One
of the
second. When you
beginning
say-
of the Sokoto Caliphate?
One
Is
second,
anybody
one
know
second,
the
one
begin the
second.
early
Before we
history?
get to that, before we
If
get
you
to that.
don't know it, you
Before
can't
we
have
get
this
to
discussion.
Before we get to that, let me ask you a question. Oya and the homie, when they fight in a religious war,
That is irrelevant.
it's not irrelevant, Uncle.
It is entirely
It's not irrelevant. It can't be
You know
irrelevant.
why?
It can't be
Genghis
irrelevant.
Khan is one of the biggest murderers on earth. He didn't fight a religious war,
No,
but
but
he
Uncle,
butchered
but Uncle,
the most
Uncle,
amount of human beings.
It matters.
So no, it does not.
It matters,
I'll
Uncle,
tell you
because
why.
of the motivations.
We are talking
we cannot say
about
because
Hausaland. Hausaland.
Yes.
Before the Sokoto Caliphate,
Yes.
they used to raid each other.
Yes.
The Hausas never became, let's use the word loosely, an empire
Yes.
before the time of Dan Fodio. They were called the Hausa state.
That's a fact,
Like
yes.
the Swahili never had an empire,
Yes.
they were city states.
Yes.
The Somali had the Ajuran Confederation,
Yes.
but they like to call it an empire. But let's go back to West Africa.
Yes.
The Mossi as well.
Yes.
They never had an empire. They
Yes.
were states. Now,
Big up
when
the Mossi still.
Dan-
We love the Mossi,
Oh,
you know.
yes, we love them. I
Mossi.
love them too.
Yes.
When Dan Fodio was preaching,
Yes.
Dan Fodio was a Sufi.
Yes.
And the Sufi tendency is not to go
I agree.
the Mujahideen
I
route.
agree.
You know that. They don't roll like that.
Yeah.
He started preaching, and he started saying to the ruler, you are using Islam
Yes.
for the point that people don't know. The ruler Al Nafati was a Muslim,
Yes.
and the Hausa had been Muslim since
Yes.
the 10th century.
Yes.
In 1400, under Muhammad Rimfa, they brought a scholar to write al-Mudalib,
Yes.
a whole compendium of laws on how to administer Kano.
Yes.
Muhammad Rimfa was the emir of Kano,
Yes.
not all of the Hausa states.
Yes.
Now, when Dan Fodio came around, he was preaching a form of Islam saying, you, the Fatpe, are oppressing the poor. You are using Islam
Yes.
as a way of oppression.
Yes.
There are taxes that you are levying on these people
Yes.
that are unjust.
Right.
The ruler said to him, you are a troublemaker.
Yes.
Something else you want. Dan Fodio, I know from the history, was not a person angling for power. He began
That's
to
the
tell
question.
the women they can't wear the hijab they were wearing it.
Yeah.
This is the Muslim ruler,
Yeah.
and Kano is a Muslim state.
No, I get
so,
it. But
Dan
I accept
Fodio
Uncle.
was pushed into a position where he had to fight back. And when he started fighting back,
Yeah.
and the kind of success he had, a lot of what you call Mbororo Fulani.
Yes.
Mbororo.
Yes.
Now, for the record,
Yes.
Dan Fodio is not an Mbororo. He is a Takrur Fulani. He's a Futatoro man. He's not Mbororo. But because they have the similar language, like, okay, Baba Mal, you heard of Baba Mal?
Yep.
He is not an Mbororo Fulani. But he can perhaps understand those Fulani that live in the countryside in Niger who do the Gere war.
Same language,
Yeah, it's not too close, but they understand.
Yep.
So, they flocked to Fodio.
Yes.
Half of those Fulani that flocked to Fodio,
Yes.
helping against El Nafati, who is a Muslim, were not Muslim. Point of fact. Half of them still live in Niger today. They do the Gere wall, and they are hardly even, they'll just call God Allah. They are not even Muslim.
Right.
They are the last, we call red
Can I ask
Fulani.
a question, Uncle?
So, I want to address this point about the beginning of the jihad, because it bears some resemblance to what we are talking
So
about
you-
regarding the Arabian
But are you saying-
Peninsula.
It's a jihad.
But I'm saying,
He called it a jihad.
but I'm saying, so what's
So, you're
a jihad against what?
You want equivalent
But Uncle,
labels?
no, a jihad against what?
Oppression?
Yes.
And the Hausa rulers lived in walled cities like Dawuud and Kano
Yes.
and Katsina.
Yes.
And within these walled cities,
Yes.
they protected themselves.
Yes.
The peasantry farmed outside.
Yes.
They oppressed the peasantry,
Yes.
gathered the food,
Yes.
and when war started, they had a tendency to
Uncle,
leave. That you're not really listening.
I'm listening.
I'm realizing now that
I'm
you're
listening.
not.
No, I am. I'll be
Because I'm
quiet.
telling you, people ought to pay for what I gotta say, you know? People gotta pay for this. Seriously. What I'm
I'm listening. I want to ask you a question.
People should pay
I want to
for this,
ask you a
right?
question.
But what I'm trying to say,
Let him finish, Uncle. Let
no,
him finish.
you want to hear the
You talking
man
about
asked
you
about
refuse
Kano.
to talk about
Did you
today.
or did you not
What
ask about
happened
this?
to young
No, he asked
Africans?
about it. He asked
He
about it.
asked the
He asked
question.
about it.
I know he asked the question.
Well, allow the man.
But you're going on.
No, but
That is, you know,
it's
that
called
is stupidness.
No, it's called information.
wait,
Maybe you don't recognize
I
it.
ready to
It's called
fight.
information.
I ready to go
You
and
can
fight
fight.
for my brothers in Libya.
This is your gun,
to
sir.
release them from the
This is
camp,
your-
from the
this is your
slave,
weapon.
Okay, let
from
me-
the
I wanna ask
slave
you a
camp.
question. I wanna
What's
go.
the point of talking about slave in
I wanna ask him a
Jamaica
question.
500 years ago when there's slave in Libya today?
Yeah,
That I
no,
need
I
to go
agree.
and fight.
No, but we were dealing with the history.
You're
you know.
gonna ask me a question.
Yeah,
on and on.
but I want to ask a question, Uncle. I want to ask a
On
question.
and on.
Because the
And
information is
Bobo,
too much for you.
Bala. Oh shit, man.
Don't swear, please don't swear. Come on.
on.
Now, in the beginning, as I always say this,
Yes.
we talked up. Could you please stop
One
that?
second, Uncle. One
You
second. One
can't
second.
put what around me to
One
me.
second. One second.
He can't tell you nothing that
I
what
know.
he
Let
say.
him finish, though. I want to ask
Shall
a
we
question.
exchange hats? You wanna exchange hats?
Come on. Continue, brother.
Right. Now,
Yeah.
basically, there are a lot of resemblances. There's a domino effect in these things.
Yes.
I know the history. Please cut it out. Come on. You gotta go. No. Fodio is a Sufi. And when he himself realized the jihad
Yes.
got away from him,
Yes.
he retired back into seclusion. His son, Muhammad Bello.
Yes.
Now, why I should hate him
Yes.
is because I was married to a Kanuri woman. And they invaded Borno State. He's talking about Yoruba Oyo,
Yes, yeah,
right?
yeah.
I will tell you where they went.
Yes.
They went to Borno, who had been Muslim thousands of years before them.
Yes.
And went and started burning areas and so. So if you spoke to my, he's now deceased ex-father-in-law,
Yes.
he will tell you, I do not regard Usman Danfodio as a hero.
Right.
They came bringing ice to the Eskimo and sand to the Arab.
Right.
What did they teach? Could they teach
So because
us?
they had Islam already.
It was a domino.
But
I think
how
it was.
did-
It was a domino.
But
effect.
how did-
Coming to Yoruba land now?
Yes.
The Yoruba used to take slaves from the Hausa and call them Gambari.
Yes.
They used to take slaves from the Hausa.
Yes.
What I don't like is one-sided history. The Hausa used to
not about
take
one-sided,
slaves.
you know. My question
the
is
Yoruba
this,
used to take slaves.
My question
you
is
know
this,
why?
how did-
wait, let me land.
Yeah.
Before the Yoruba, before Danfodio came to power,
Yes.
Oyo has already more of a sense of a centralized state. The
Yes.
advantage the Yoruba had,
Yes.
part of their empire was in the forest.
Yes.
So there are all those fruits and fertility. Part of it was in the savannah. They could move horses.
Yes.
So they had the advantage. So that's why they were kicking Dahomi's ass. They were kicking them.
Yes.
They were under pressure.
Yes.
So Dahomey fought back. But Dahomey itself,
We're talking 1700s, 1800s
Oyo.
right now, yeah?
Yeah,
Right, and I'm
1800s.
saying, so we're talking about a period
Yeah.
in which the so-called slave trade
I'll
is-
come to you. I'm not
right?
done yet. Because I want to speak about
No, but-
Afonja.
right.
I want to speak about Afonja.
But you don't even
No,
look at
He's
right.
the man asked the question.
But Uncle, one
Judy,
second.
the man asked the question.
Uncle,
I was
let me
saying-
let me right? We're talking about a period in which the so-called transatlantic slave trade
Yeah.
is already established
Yeah, destabilized
fully,
the whole place.
right? It destabilized the entire West Africa, so we know already the context in which a lot of these fractions were taking place, these wars were taking place. When I asked you if Oya and Dahomey was
And
religious,
Sokoto,
yeah,
1, 2, 3.
but were religious, but specifically Oya and Dahomey were religious,
Yes.
yeah? Is because therein lies the key difference. Because if we look at Oya and Dahomey, Oya is the origin of the Vudan tradition. Sorry, Dahomey is the origin of Oya is Ifa, but these are related systems. Yep. So evidently, this was not a war in which one group was trying to subjugate the spirituality. I'm
not defending that.
I'm making it clear. We're not dealing with a situation in which one group.
That doesn't make it better.
Here I'm saying. I'm not saying that the war was a good thing. What I'm saying is that.
You're not saying that, but it doesn't make it better. Because Islam was indigenous. The point I'm trying to make is you're talking about.
With all due respect, that's not my argument. That's not my argument. Right? That's not my argument. Right? What I'm saying is that we're not dealing with a group trying to suppress and subjugate the spirituality or the culture of another group. Yeah, their differences were political. Yeah, and took place in the context of a region that was destabilized by increasing European colonization and invasion. Yeah, continuously over centuries. Over centuries. What I'm saying is that's different to Sokoto, in which they related to Oya state, yeah, not just as a political institution, but as a religious institution, and subjugating the culture of the people. That's a difference. That's a difference.
Let me address that. That is partly correct and partly incorrect.
So then we're in agreement then.
No, we are not, because I said you didn't hear the part where it's partly incorrect. Let me explain the part that's partly incorrect. African religions do not suddenly stop and say, right, the Nubians and the Ethiopians have been Christians, take the Christians, from the time of King Ezana. Ergo, it's a foreign religion. As far as the Ethiopians are concerned, that Christianity is indigenous. Islam, as I said, did not start with Usman and Fodio in Sokoto. It started from the 10th century. It was formalized properly in the 14th century. And what the Hausa states are, because we're still talking about your.
I thought you meant in West Africa, sorry.
Okay, but if you want to use that argument, you go back to Tekrur in the 9th century. As far as these people were concerned, this was not the imposition of a foreign ideology. Islam had taken root so long. For these people, this was an African religion. It's another African religion.
Is that the people of God? The Awagadao, is that how they felt about it?
Ouagadougou is in Burkina Faso.
No, what I'm saying is, the Ghana Empire was originally known as, Ghana is the name of the rulership. Yeah? So Ouagadougou or Ouagadougou is the name of the empire itself. The indigenous name. Yeah? What's it called? What I'm saying is, are you saying that the people of, so Mali probably wouldn't have seen it like that because Mali, the rulership was Muslim. But what about, and what about the people in the Mali Empire that were not Muslim? Would they have considered it an indigenous religion or not? Well, so we have to understand that under Mali, the traditionalists were subjugated as well.
Not true. Not true.
There was subjugation.
Not true.
It wasn't.
It happened under Muhammad Touré in Songhai. Even under Sumanguru Kanteam.
Are you saying
Sonny Ali? Even under Sonny Ali, he was bringing back.
Are you saying that traditionalists and Muslims under Mali experience equal footing?
No.
We're on equal footing. That's what I'm saying. Say so. So I'm saying that's why you do subjugation.
No, what you're doing is you're bleeding one point into the other.
No.
The one does not automatically follow from the other. What we're talking about here with ancient African Islam is that by the time you mention Oyo, you're going up to the 1800s. By that time, Islam was considered an African religion in that area. So to talk about saying that the Hausas are, you're calibrating this thing in very modern terms.
What I'm saying is, if we're saying that it's possible for a religion to become indigenized based upon the length of time that it's been there, and also you have syncretism, so you have people that have
Taqlid, it's called Taqlid.
So
which is now what I want. That's what you're talking about in Mali. In Mali, it has been recognized that at the court of not Mansa, maybe Mansa Suleiman. It wasn't Ibn Battuta saw Mansa Suleiman. He didn't see Mansa Musa. When he came there, some of the servant girls, and this is not a nice thing to relate, what used to be naked. This is the culture that they were practicing before Islam. And even in the royal court of Mansa Suleiman.
That's not the culture though.
No. You guys have a problem with admitting things.
No, it's not that.
What is wrong with being naked?
It's not nothing wrong with being naked.
What's wrong with it?
No, nothing wrong with being naked.
The Dinka today are still naked in the cattle camps in Sudan.
I wasn't going to say nothing wrong with it.
Don't be so nervous about
I wasn't going to say that. I wasn't saying that. I never said
that. He's in Africa naked.
I wasn't
saying
wrong with it. I didn't say that.
You want to spread a message about naked.
What a a sinful old man you are.
Listen to you already.
Uncle, what I'm saying is, but it's like today, yeah, it's like today. A lot of Africans on the continent, yeah, and in the diaspora, wouldn't see Christianity as a foreign religion. I couldn't tell my grandmother that Christianity is a foreign religion. She would look at me and laugh. You know what I'm saying? Right? Because she comes out of a context in which, you know what I'm saying? So today, it doesn't discount the history. Right? The fact of the matter, yeah.
You know why I say Christianity is a foreign religion?
Because you're a Muslim.
Number one, I'm a Muslim. Number two, there's too much iconography and geopolitics that links the brand of Christianity we have with the West. It's not like Trinidad and Tobago.
Right?
Not like Ethiopian Christianity.
Right. But in Trinidad,
we have the Ethiopian church in Aruka.
In Trinidad, our thing named Triangle, yeah?
Yeah.
Right. And then you have Revivalist Baptists.
Yep,
right?
Shango Baptist, Shaka Baptist.
All them something
I know them all.
Yeah, right? And so, technically speaking, those two things should not be able to exist in the same space at the same time. Technically speaking, right? But the iconography, you got one part of it is biblical, yeah, and the other part of it is Ifa. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying they've syncretized the thing.
Yes.
And you know what I'm saying? Right? My point is that you have that.
But what about the evangelicals who are taking over? The whole of the West is being swamped. But now what they...
You yourself accept that the Wahhabism is beginning to take over in West Africa as well.
Yes.
Right. Now I'm saying...
Terrible, isn't it? Terrible.
Right? But what I'm saying is that...
We do not love that.
Right? But I'm saying... And to be fair, and I accept that Islam has a different tradition of iconography than Christianity does, specifically because of the use of imagery in Westernized Christianity.
No, the geopolitics of Christianity is tied to the West. But that is my beef with it.
I'm saying...
It's not Ethiopian Christianity we worship.
Yeah, but I agree. But I'm saying that the geopolitics of Islam is tied to Arabia.
Not so.
That is why...
Salafism.
That is why...
Salafism.
Why did Mansa Musa travel across the desert?
Yes.
Yeah, and who was he paying tribute to? Yeah, and these things. I'm saying that the people, even
paying tribute?
Even today.
What I'm saying is...
No, those are endowments.
What I'm saying is, even the people in West Africa, in terms of their spiritual focus, look to a certain place. Yes?
You know how to spin that?
How?
In Gambia, the Mandinka who settle in the Gambia,
speaking
about their ancient homeland, the Mandinka who live in Mali, they call them Tilibonka. Tilibonka and Tila and Mandinka mean the sun. Hold on.
What's the ancient homeland?
Tilibonka means the people who live where the sun sets.
Yes.
When they were spreading Islam in Mali and they would try to convince the ordinary people, you know what they used to tell them?
Yes.
You're praying in the direction from there where life arises.
Yes.
So for the African, in his mind, the East is a mystical place, just like in ancient Kemet where the sun rose. In ancient Kemet, it's the same, right? It's the same. Now if you're talking...
Kemet people used to look to the south where they come from.
Look,
but he's not wrong. He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Used to look
we are talking about...
But he's talking about spiritually. He's talking about spiritually. You're both right. You're both right.
I despair. I really do. Right? So when you... As far as I'm concerned, when I live in Trinidad, facing the Qibla, I'm also facing Africa. When I live in London, like I go to my prayers right now,
you and I both
am facing Africa.
You and I both know that most people don't have your psychology.
I know, but wait, let's open this up more. And I don't like opening this up. Who is to say that the Arabian Peninsula is not a part of the continent of Africa?
It is.
Different argument.
You have just lost the argument.
Different argument. No.
You have just lost the argument.
Different argument. Okay.
You just supported me.
Different argument. You know why? It's a different argument to me.
It is.
Because I'm saying that, for example, because something happened on the continent doesn't make it indigenous to the continent. You know what I'm saying? So if the Coptic faith comes out, because for me, I'm like this. When people say to me the Coptic is an original African religion, I'm like this with it. Because I don't
understand what you're saying.
Right? Because I don't see it. Because
time,
it's undoubtable.
Something's been there.
No.
It's really hard to keep saying it's not.
It depends, Uncle, because I'm saying that...
it doesn't have I feel the Copts do not... Their patriarch is Bishop Shenouda. Well, in my day when I was living there, he was Bishop... The patriarch Abuna, Bishop Shenouda. He doesn't look to the... He doesn't go to the Eastern churches and do this.
No.
He was a patriarch in his...
It doesn't mean that he's not perpetuating a certain tradition,
the Ethiopians themselves, who used to look to Alexandria to appoint their Abuna, they stopped.
Yes.
So the Ethiopians appoint their own, so they don't kowtow to any other form of
but
church.
all that means is that
to me, that's indigenous.
They've
what I don't like
indigenized.
about them is they're imperialistic. That's another story.
Right, different thing.
That's I don't go there.
All that means is that they've indigenized. That's all it means.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is
which is good.
It can be.
Stop being such a purist. Humans
purist.
change, and I like
Really?
and I like that about him.
really
We
is.
need people like him. I like
You know
that
what it
about
is?
him.
You know what it
But
is?
you're a purist.
But that's fine. But then you can accept
You know
that
what
the
it is?
purity
No.
was disrupted at one
Right.
point.
There is
And-
no
Uncle.
such thing as a constant
no.
point
But
that was
Uncle.
disrupted. Humans
Uncle.
have always evolved.
Uncle.
You can't, when people come telling me things like, oh, let's be Hebrew because Africa is a construct. The word Africa is a construct.
It's nonsense. It's nonsense.
And even
nonsense.
I said to them, look, all things are a construct. Even if Africa was a construct and Hebrew is a real thing, at one point that too was a construct. Most of what they're talking about Hebrewism came from chemists.
I don't dispute
They
that.
learned it
I
there.
But nobody is more purist, Uncle, than an Abrahamic religious person.
That's quite true.
Right? Nobody's more purist than
That's
that.
true.
So I'm saying that if I am
That is
knee deep,
true.
and I accept it, you know, I am to a degree purist, yeah.
But I know why you are. You have to fight all that.
Exactly.
I understand
Even
why
though
you
I try
are.
to be nuanced,
Yeah.
But we're dealing with a situation
Quite true, I understand.
of invasion and cultural imposition.
Yeah.
So in order,
And I deplore this for the
Right,
record.
right. No, I hear that.
My
We are-
father-in-law, if he heard me standing here trying to justify that Fodio, he'll run me out. And he's a hardcore Kanuri, like, you know, Sani Abacha, your former president.
That scumbag.
That's the Kanuri people. The ones who take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are Kanuri. We are not saying, for the record, we are not saying scumbag to the Kanuri nation.
No, to Sani
He's
Abacha.
talking about Sani
Yes, Sani
Abacha.
Abacha.
Yeah, he would not stand and what? For what?
Yeah.
Muhammad Bello, what? So there
I
is
agree
that,
with him.
and these are hardcore Muslims from before the house ever heard the word Muslim. So there was not just a targeting of what happened, as I said, a lot of Fulani joined the Jihad who were not even religious. They were there for ghanima, booty. They were there for the spoils of war. And they joined
these things happen. But over time, a lot of them would have
and
become
that's why
Muslims.
he pulled aside. Then Fodio said, this is not what I wanted. But his son Muhammad Bello became, they say, more Catholic than the Pope. Read the letters that were written between Al-Kanami of Borno State and Muhammad Bello. Arguing, what is this jihad about? What you doing here? Here, me try.
One second. I've got to run here, but quick thing. One second, quick thing.
Yes.
Okay. The reality is that history has been brought forward today to the point whereby the political system in Nigeria, is divided along so-called ethnic lines and religious lines. You know what I'm saying? Right? The dominant spiritual systems of the people themselves, don't factor into the power dynamics here. You know what I'm saying? So when we're talking about Yoruba, we're not talking about Ifa. We're talking about Christians. When we're talking about Hausa, we're not talking about the indigenous spiritual system of the Hausa people. We're talking about Muslims. So I'm saying that the implications of Dan Fodio, coupled with the increased colonization by the Europeans, has created a situation whereby these two religions have the power in the situation at the moment, both of them to the detriment of the indigenous.
I agree so far.
They disagree on bare things, you know.
Yeah.
One thing they agree on is that Ifa is devil worship.
Yeah.
That we shouldn't pay all our to our ancestors.
True. Yeah.
They call
That's
it
what they
choo-choo.
agree on. So I'm saying that a fight between the Yoruba and the Igbo is different from the Igbo and the Yoruba and the Hausa fighting based upon religions that were given to them by outsiders. It's a different thing.
I disagree. It depends on the people that we're having the discussion about. It depends on how seriously they take the things that are being squabbled over. If the Yoruba and the Igbo are squabbling over something that is very important to them, it is to all intents and purposes like a jihad. You have to know,
because
yes,
one
it depends.
One spells cultural genocide and the other doesn't. You yourself, you know.
No, who says
Uncle,
that?
Uncle,
If that is true,
I want you to know how much I
if that
respect
is
you. I want you to know how much I
true,
respect
if
you.
that is true, the Hausa would not have any African culture at all.
Not necessarily.
Yes, if cultural genocide is the product of foreign religions.
It's difficult to entirely wipe out our culture. It's very difficult to do.
What?
Right?
Tell me what about the Hausa is not African?
Their spiritual system. But within it, listen, let me finish. But they've syncretized. So basically, they've got Islam.
I was going to say,
right?
yeah.
That's all it is.
No, but barring that,
Yeah.
we have
I'm not
been
denying.
discussing religion.
I'm not denying.
What? You Fulani?
It's like
what
uncle.
about
Uncle,
no,
it's like
I want us
it's
to
like-
be
it's like-
intimate with these
No, I know,
cultures before,
It's like
half of his people are Muslims.
uncle. It's like
Because of the Sokoto Caliphate.
No, not true. Only Kwara states. Only Kwara states.
Uncle.
The rest of them became converted by Ahmadiyya.
It's like
the
Sheikh.
rest of them were converted
Where you from,
by
bro? Where you from?
Ahmadiyya.
Where you from? Congo.
That is not correct.
It's like Sheikh Amadou Bamba. Yes. The Yambi, Liwa people. Right?
You know what?
Oh no, she was over here the other day. So yeah, he's asking you. Sorry, Queen Diambi was over here. And if you know Queen Diambi,
No, I don't know.
of the Luba people. Yeah, anyway.
Luba people, huh?
Yeah, Luba. Yeah. But what I'm saying, Uncle, yeah,
Baluba.
is that
You guys had a lifelong conversation, though.
there's a very fundamental difference, yeah, between, because we know that there were differences among different African groups. I have not come across a war, and indigenous to the African continent, that took place along religious lines, where one group
To
was
me,
trying
that's a side. To me, that's important. But to say that, to use that as a smoke screen to say the rest of Africa was fine is problematic.
No, I don't say fine, Uncle.
You're using it
I
as a
don't say
fig leaf.
fine, I don't say
No, but
fine.
What I'm worried about here
I don't
is
say fine.
if you keep using these things as a fig leaf, you're gonna ignore serious other problems
I
that are
don't.
happening in
Let
Africa.
me show you why I
They
don't
were
ignore.
fighting for other reasons, but
No,
perhaps.
but I'm not saying that they were correct. Let me show you how I listened to you.
So then,
yeah?
why are we hooking on this?
Because
we've done this to death.
Because of the
So
conversation we're
let's
having.
let's talk about other wars they've had.
Leon didn't
Chuck,
take the
you wanna do
conversation.
this? You want to do this?
No.
You want to do this?
Before
You
this.
want to do this?
Before
You
this.
see what's going on?
Before this.
You see what's going
No,
on?
cool.
Because here's a problem I'm having here.
Yes.
What I'm having is this.
Yes.
It's easy for me to do that. And I often do this as an arbitrator.
Yes.
When people get on me and say, I said, but I'm not defending anything. I am just balancing the discussion.
Uncle.
Now, to say that my religion
Yes.
was not a religion of proselytization and force, ergo the other side was always bad and we were always good, is a way of not
Never
facing
said that.
some of the other problems we have on the continent.
But
we're doing it
but
too
Uncle,
much.
So let's say I'm
We're
Ifa.
doing it to death.
Let's say I'm Ifa. Let's say I'm Ifa. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And people in Ifa make mistakes. Right. What does that have? Why does my mistakes or our mistakes in Ifa, justify a foreign imposition and subjugation of Ifa? That doesn't. If the Ifa people have problems and we're doing wrongness, then it's for us to sort that out. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't talk about the fact that these people have come to try and not even correct, but destroy. Like the Ifa. Uncle, you said the other day, when you done, I think it's part 1, when you talk about Islam, Islam in West Africa, I listen carefully, because you're my uncle and I respect you. And even if I disagree with you, I listen to you. That's what I'm saying. I want you to know that. Clearly, I don't want people to know that.
I know that I've seen your comments.
Right?
I know that.
Oh, I didn't even know that you was reading, yeah?
Yeah, I read. I don't answer them because
that's fine,
you'll have
that's
to
fine.
answer fools as well.
Yes,
you see what I'm saying?
indeed,
And I will start there.
Even if I disagree, right?
Yeah.
Now, you said yourself that as far as the North is concerned, plenty invasion, right? Then people in the North started to trade people in the West. And you said some of the people, and I forget the group that you mentioned. Right, that was it, yeah? Took it on with a
With
vigor.
more conviction
right.
than the
these
Berbers
people
who brought it
that they
from-
got it from.
yeah.
And so the proselytization.
So that's great, though, isn't it?
Right?
It's
What's
great.
that?
though.
What's that?
To
That's
be
great.
convicted about what you're doing is good, isn't it? If you're doing something, it's no point if you're not doing it good, right? Your
Yeah,
parents
yeah,
have
yeah.
taught you that.
It-
You've
it-
learned that.
yes,
There's
yes,
no
yes.
point doing something if you're not doing it good. And another thing, right?
What
and
was the impact,
I'm
though?
going to hate myself for the point I'm about to make.
Go ahead.
If I have something that's beautiful,
Yes.
and this lovely sister is standing here, I would want to share
Hey,
that with
sorry,
her.
I got.
How are you, my sister?
You coming on going.
Yeah, you come late. Look at you people. Oh, look, she's getting the gift. Yeah, the problem with Abrahamic faith.
Yes.
Shall we go back into the?
Yeah, go. Yeah.
I tell you, the double-edged sword of
Yes.
Abrahamic faith.
Yes.
They start by saying this: we have got this great thing, this message. We've got the gift. Now, how would it look if people come later and say, you had the gift of salvation and you refused to share? So now, from that line of thinking, they say, I can't have this good thing
Yes.
without wanting to share. From this, listen to how it starts twisting, spiraling out of shape.
Yes.
I want to save you, even if you don't want to be saved. That's where it spins out of shape.
Yeah.
Now, if you have power to back it,
Yes.
like the Europeans
That's
did,
what happened.
with the Arabs,
Yes.
like I said,
Yes.
the Arabs conquered North Africa
Yes.
with swords.
Yes.
The Berbers had swords.
They wipe out the population.
Wait a minute, now you're doing it
Say that
again,
too.
right?
They wipe out the population, the African population.
Of North Africa? You really need to read some more.
Yes.
You need to read more.
I don't read it. I don't need to read anymore.
No, you need to read more.
I
Come to
need
one of
to
my
fight
classes.
you now.
You
I don't
can't.
read
You
you anymore.
can't. You're
We've
light.
read you enough.
Remember him, right? Remember him last time? We can't do a part 2 of this. Let's keep this here.
Yeah.
So he's interrupting.
I got to run as well.
I know, but I just want to make this point about this.
Yes.
The force in Africa was in the north. That's where the force was. The Arabs came, and soon after that,
Yes.
the Umayyads was the end of the Arabs. You had the Abbasids,
Yes.
Arabo-Persians,
Yes.
right? After this,
Yes.
you don't have an empire saying we are working on behalf of Queen Elizabeth I. What we're doing is on behalf of King Louis of France. What we have is on behalf of Ferdinand and Isabella of Spain. That is the difference with Christianity. Christianity also came with guns and cannon. It was an asymmetrical meeting of adversaries.
How is
It's
the
not
caliphate?
same.
How is the caliphate?
The Moroccan.
Oh Lord.
One second.
The Moroccan
Yes.
war with Mali for nearly 100 years.
He doesn't know anything.
The Moroccans.
He doesn't know anything.
And they even employed Spanish
Mercenaries.
mercenaries and generals.
Yeah,
not
yeah,
only
yeah.
not only mercenaries
His name
and
was
generals.
His name was Judar Pasha. We know all this.
Right.
Yeah.
The Moroccans.
We are used to
So,
it.
so when you
We are used to it. But
Yes. No, what I'm saying is,
No,
okay,
you
how
we
is
know
that?
this.
I in the pack before you come to
I know
England.
that. I know that.
You can't tell me. You can't tell me good
Props.
yeah.
Okay, you got
Two
props.
uncles, man. You have to
He alive. He
Two
alive.
uncles, man. You haven't to leave them alone,
He
man.
alive. No, but like
How
I
is the
said,
caliphate, uncle? Different. A Muslim caliphate,
Yes.
different from a Christian empire.
the Muslim Caliphate. Give me an example of one. The Sokoto
Sokoto
Caliphate.
Caliphate.
The Sokoto
Hold
Caliphate.
on, but
was-
are you saying that the Umayyads?
No, he's he
But
give me an
I-
example.
but are you saying that the
you being
Umayyads
naughty.
and
You give an example. He wants an Arab one. He gave an African one. It's for your plan. I'm not your gamer. He gave me an African cat.
No.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now go there. I do pay. Now go there one line. Now go there one line. See, I speak to you in Hausa. I colonized you.
get away with that, you know.
I colonized you. I spoke to you in Hausa as well. See, I just
let him
colonized.
get away
You
with
see,
that one day.
I started with Yoruba. I said Modupe. And then I said Mungo Day. I spoke to my
That part,
so
I didn't
I
understand
secretly
that part.
colonized them.
Yeah, I know you did. I know the
You see,
truth.
here's the difference.
What happened
As far as
to
they're
them?
concerned, I
Yeah.
colonized you by an African language. Hausa is an African language.
Doesn't change.
It's
the
an African
fact
language.
that you still.
Yeah.
I'm
If
not-
I impose my language on you, is it not still an African
I
language?
don't dispute any of that. My main point is that when we talk
No, I'm
about
doing it the confusing.
I know what he's doing.
I'm
That's how the
I
answer
don't
that.
want. I'm playing with him. I'm talking to him through you.
Yeah, yes,
I know what
I
I'm
know
doing.
he's there, I know
I'm
he's there, I
playing
know
with
he's
him.
there.
No, the point. What was my point?
I was asking you, how is an Islamic caliphate different to a European empire?
And he gave the
Christian
example, he beautifully supplied the example of the Sokoto Caliphate. The Sokoto Caliphate
Yes.
was not working on
Yes.
behalf of an imperial power. The slaves in the Sokoto Caliphate
Yes.
were just like before the Sokoto Caliphate,
Yes.
people who were
Servitude.
oppressed by the Hausa aristocracy.
Right.
They were oppressed. The difference is
So Sokoto
now
didn't
you have
keep
a
slaves.
level of Fulani interspersed with the Hausa aristocracy. It was like, if you want to interpret it from a socialist point of view, it was workers being oppressed by just an addition of a new set of
Are you
leaders.
saying Sokoto didn't deal with slavery?
I just told you, they had most of their slaves were for domestic use. At the time of the Lord Lugard, let me
Islam was
land
not
this
a
point. At the
consideration.
time of Lord Lugard, the slave population of Hausa land exceeded the freeborn population. And all of them were working on
Yeah,
land
I've
and
read
so
that.
forth.
Yeah, the
I've read
Yoruba
that.
there as
So,
well.
so the point is, the Sokoto Caliphate was an African caliphate.
There's a context to that though that's missing me at the moment. But I've read it before. But yeah, maybe I'll refresh it and come back to it. My only point though, Uncle.
If I come to you with cannon,
Yes,
ships,
yes,
guns,
yes,
and then I also bring health care, superior health care,
yes.
and I bring bicycles,
Yes.
and I bring also.
But this is the classic-
That is entirely. I have no
Uncle,
way of resisting you.
This is the-
Yeah, I have no answer for you.
This is the classic.
That's not a matching of. That's not a battle between equals.
No, it's not. But
With the
Uncle,
yeah, I can't compare the European this thing with the Arab one, with the
Uncle,
Muslim one. I
but
can't.
what you just gave is the classic European imperialist argument. We came and we brought hospitals and we brought schools, yeah.
We
And
civilized
No, I am
you.
not
And we built
agreeing with
roads.
it. I am not agreeing with it.
No, I'm
I am
not saying
saying that
agreeing with it.
it is an asymmetrical war from the get-go between Africans and Europeans.
Right.
There was no parity from the get-go.
Right.
With Arabs,
Right.
if you want to say, they
Right.
came to Africa and
Right.
they got their tails, they got their asses handed to them.
Can I ask you a question?
In Nubia.
The people that after this I got to run.
Me too.
The people that the Muslims in the West, yeah, that we say,
Takururon.
right, and them kind of things. What was their relationship like?
With Ghana, ancient
No,
Ghana?
no. Right? No, cause I know that already. It was contentious. Yeah, but no, but I'm saying
Stop that.
the ones that were in the West, what was their relationship as Muslims with those in the North?
Trade. I'll give you an example. Funj. Remember the guy who interviewed me called
Let me ask you
Kabashi?
specifically.
I'll give a good example. After the collapse of the kingdom of Dongola, the last Christian kingdom,
Yeah.
and they kind of brought that on themselves a little bit because they tried to join one of the crusades, and the Mamluk Sultan said, you know something,
Yes.
we can't have our back door undefended,
Yes.
and destroyed the last of the Christian kingdom of Dongola. In that area, in that political vacuum, arose a kingdom to the south of Dongola in the land called Senar, called Funj. Now the Funj are actually a people that resemble the Dinka of South Sudan.
Yeah.
They came into that area, the Funj, the people called the Cholo or Shiluk. They came into that area, and because they were trading with the, the Christian kingdom is destroyed, but the vacuum is there, and the trading relationship has to be built back.
But everybody was trading with them.
Yes, no,
Yeah.
but because the Shiluk
Yeah.
were trading
Yes.
with the Mamluks, they actually became Islamic Muslim.
Yes.
Nobody
Understand what I'm saying?
imposed
Understand what I'm saying,
Islam
though, Uncle?
on them.
Everybody in from West Africa
Yeah.
was trading with North Africa, yes? Whether they were Muslim or not, there was trade going on.
Yes.
Yes, in West Africa.
Yes.
My point is that, was there a specific relationship? Remember, you said that as far as the North, most of that, if not all of it, was invasion and conquest.
The North.
Yes?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is,
Yep.
and then they tried to, because there were attempted incursions into the West. Yeah, no, into West Africa from those that were invading in the
They
North.
would have been having
Right?
to face people
That's
like
what
the
I'm saying.
Tuareg.
Right, that's what I'm trying to say.
They wouldn't be
And
facing
but
Black Africans.
They didn't.
They'll be facing
Right?
Tuareg.
Either way, right? But I'm saying definitely at this point.
I'll give you the tribes.
Hold on a
The
second.
Godala.
One second, Uncle, one second. I'm saying, is there a relationship between Muslims, Africans, yeah, in the West, and Muslims in the North that empowers
Military connections.
military
No.
or otherwise economic?
In fact, he was right about one point. The
empowers those
Moroccans
Muslims.
actually sabotaged Songhai. He was right about one point.
Yeah.
The Moroccans actually sabotaged Songhai in 1591.
Yeah, no,
In fact, there was
I'm
no
aware of that. So you're saying
cooperation.
that there's no relationship between those
Trade.
Muslims.
Trade.
No, but I'm saying, so when you say trade, 'cause-
Military? No.
Like I said, there was already a trading relationship with
Yeah.
West Africa,
Trans-Saharan.
Muslim or non-Muslim. But I'm saying, so when you keep saying trade, like you say that the Muslims in West Africa and the Muslims in North Africa had a specific trading relationship that didn't exist with the rest of West Africa. Is that what you're
No,
saying?
Ghana was the reason Ghana started. Now you wanted to talk about Ghana earlier, Wagadu.
Yes.
Ghana was not a literate.
No, yeah.
So what they did once they were
In
trading.
the same way anyway, yeah.
When they were trading, we have literacy today, right? Pens and paper.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if somebody came with computers,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
cannot defeat them.
Yeah.
So let's be honest, if we only have pens and paper and they have computers, our literacy is inferior to theirs. Let's face facts. We cannot defeat them. They are superior to us. Let's face it. I know y'all don't like that kind of talk.
I know, we know.
All right?
I'm
gonna finish this. Let me finish
No.
this. So what you had is, in ancient Ghana,
Yeah.
they employed a lot of scribes,
Yeah.
literally from Tekru,
Yeah.
and they did a lot of keeping of accounts
Yes.
with the trans-Saharan trade before the time of Islam in Ghana. And that is how Islam started to spread. Once people bring a piece of civilization that enhances your quality of life, you're gonna gravitate to it. And that's my point why I believe that is. Thank you very much. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much. Islam was not forcibly imposed in West Africa in that way.
I think the word force needs to be defined, and I think.
But we'll become snowflakes.
And I think the
if we
dynamic.
boil it right, we'll become
but
snowflakes.
I think the dynamic of coercion needs to be properly understood. One, two. I think the dynamic.
Khawarij.
Coercion.
Oh, coercion.
not
coercion.
And I think,
No,
I also think the dynamic of discrimination, subjugation, and demonization also needs to be understood.
And enslavement.
Because I'm saying that whatever we're going to say about right, no, yeah, whatever we're going to say,
We were far from innocent.
I know, I don't dispute that.
We don't have a significant dynamic of traditionalists demonizing Islam based upon just
we have no dispute about
yes,
that.
I'm saying we don't have
I have
tradition.
no dispute about
Right?
that, my young brother
My brother,
We should join forces to denounce this.
Yes, sir.
We have to.
appreciate it.
I
Yes,
have
sir.
no. I'm telling you the truth. I say this for the record. I grew up as a small boy with Yoruba people in Trinidad, and they know I'm a Muslim. And when I go to their ceremonies, we are Oma Obatala. They don't say you don't have to take palm wine. You don't have to make offerings. Because Obatala children stand to the side.
Yes.
They call us the Muslim people are the children of Obatala. They say Obatala is the one who was creating human beings. And in the folk, while he was doing it, he was taking sips of palm wine. He got drunk and started.
He made some mistakes, you know.
He started making deformed children. It's the narrative as it goes. So for that reason, Obatala, who's supposed to be like the Muslim, as you say, he's supposed to be the higher standard. It said to him, these things are now forbidden to you. So when they met Muslims wearing the white, whose sacred day is Friday, and we don't take spirits, the Yoruba, in their cosmology, made a space for the Muslims. And I have to put that on record and say that is true.
Okay, so we're
What's your name, bro?
something then.
Dawuud, good to meet you, brother.
Listen, there's no point being unnecessarily. I am not an unnecessarily adversarial person.
and I
There's
respect
no
that,
point for
Uncle.
that.
You know I respect you,
I
so.
want truth.
I was just telling Ali early on as well
Yes.
that he was talking the
you.
language of absolutes.
Right.
And that he shouldn't really do that.
Right.
So when he says invasion is Islamic,
Yes.
when you account what invasion does,
Right.
there's so many things that are not Islamic.
Right.
within-
Point taken. Understood, bro. Yeah, we'll talk some more. I got to run. Brother, we'll talk some more,
No,
yes?
this is not your Ghana. It's not your Ghana. This is Southeast Mauritania, part of Mali. It's a different Ghana. Young Badaka.
Yes, yeah, I'm going to
Sorry for the
Ahlan.
You should ask the question to Mugabe. The culture of invasion.
Maghrib. Salaikum? Or in the open, they are using it.
Salam alaikum.
Yeah, okay, Fi kursi?
That's true, yeah.
Okay, let me join. Walk with me if we want to talk. Let's go. I have to pray. Come walk with me.
Content over
Oh, yeah, look, we
everything.
can't leave this on its own like that.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Hey!